Hello, everybody. So I wanted to hop on and have a chat with the lovely Leanne. Um, she has a really inspirational story. She's just been on such a big journey in terms of dealing with eczema her whole life, and then just recently um, coming off a little bit of the topical steroid withdrawal and oral as well. But yeah, she's just been such an inspiration and really like a pleasure to work with. Just such a positive mindset. So I thought that would be really helpful for other people because I've had lots of conversations lately, and there's a lot of people that are struggling and that were in a very similar situation that Leanne was in when we first started talking. So I thought that it would be helpful to share her story. And so anybody, while we're chatting, if anybody has any questions, you can pop them into the chat below for either myself or Leanne. And if you're watching the replay as well, just pop the questions in the comments. Okay, so Leanne, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to get started, let's just chat about your journey. So your history, and yeah, from childhood up until when we first started talking.
Yeah, so I've had eczema pretty much since I was a baby. It's never really been completely what I thought was really bad. Like Mum said, I had eczema as a baby on my head, a little bit on my cheek, neck and chin. And yeah, Mum doesn't really recall using steroids as such as a young baby, but we had the good old plantarsonal baths and those sorts of things. So yeah, I kind of thought we grew out of it, but then I'd get a flare up every now and then in my teens, and I do remember using steroids then. And through my 20s, I had the odd flare up as well, but nothing to be too concerned about. Just thought, oh, well, it's normal eczema. Magic cream makes it go away. Yeah, and then my early 30s, I didn't really have much of an issue until I started to have become pregnant, to have my two kids at 35 and 37. So that's when things completely changed for me, and yeah, my body just went crazy. So yeah, I pretty much had eczema everywhere in places I've never had it before. It completely started a lot more on my chest, actually, was where it was. Yeah, and then after my second child, I thought, well, I better try and get myself healthy again. And yeah, I went to my first nutritionist, and we pretty much flipped my diet upside down and tried different things nutrition wise, and that's when my body again completely changed, and I was red raw head to toe. I did drop a lot of weight, had elephant skin, could barely move sometimes. There was just a burning sensation, uncontrollable itching. So that was probably my first bout of what I thought was topical steroid withdrawal. Yeah. And when I say what I thought is because I wasn't really sure. I hadn't used steroids a lot. Like I thought I'd use them quite sparingly. Yeah, but yeah, I think looking back now, I think that was my first bout of going through a withdrawal process. Yeah. So then, yeah, I kind of never fully healed, I suppose, but I could still get on with life after about 6 months of trying to figure out what to do. And even looking back now, I don't even know how I healed. So yeah, and then I think my eczema got a little bit worse. I went and seen a couple of naturopaths as well. Yeah, I seen a naturopath locally, and I didn't really get anywhere there. And then I also got referred to a naturopath in Melbourne who specialised in skin. So we were working together for about 8 months, and we still couldn't really break through and find what the issue was and what would help. And then, well, this year I actually, probably about February, March, I probably finished up seeing the naturopath. It was getting that bad that we discussed using the oral steroids just to try and give me some relief, which I caved in and did. So I did a 3-week stint of oral steroids from a prescription dermatologist gave me about 6 months prior. So yeah, I caved and I thought, I've got to try it. So yeah, we tried the oral steroids over 3 weeks, and I reckon it probably made a slight difference for a couple of days within those 3 weeks. But other than that, I seen the course out, and yeah, well, in hindsight, it wasn't really worth it. Yeah, and then we had a few other stresses in my life with one of my family members becoming ill. And obviously the stress from my parents, I hate seeing you in that situation. So, yeah, I decided to use topical steroids again and go back to a dermatologist. And this time I had it all over my face, applied topical steroids to my face, chest area. And that, again, only made a slight difference to me for about a couple of days, just to get a little bit of relief, because I had big chunks flaking off my face, and I was very red. Then I decided to stop using those because I found that they weren't working either. And that's when I probably went through my second bout of topical steroid withdrawal. Yeah, pretty much my whole face, neck, chest, belly, my whole torso, hips, and the top of my legs were completely red raw. And my arms, my arms are probably the worst, and I'm still trying to heal on my arms currently today. So yeah, that was the tipping point. And then throughout the whole journey, you're always trying to find a way to make yourself better. So I was always on Dr. Google, and I'm not sure how I come across Alicia's program, but I'm very happy I did.
Yeah. I'm glad that we connected. Yeah. So quite stock standard just in terms of the eczema journey. Sorry, did we cut out? Having eczema
sorry.
when you're a kid, and then it like going away. Sometimes it doesn't go away for some people, and then it coming up again with a stressful event. It's just like very textbook, and then haven't been well since. And I remember one of our conversations, we had talking about, red skin syndrome, TSW, and I remember you getting off the phone, or we spoke about it the next week, and how like upset you were, and you just felt so many emotions because it's obviously affected so many different aspects of your life, and it wasn't something that was somebody had told you about that this was a risk factor for. So that seemed like
I have no idea. Yeah, you would think suffering from eczema my whole life I would understand the severity of how bad it can get, but you have no idea. I just thought, oh, you get a bit of a rash on your arm, this cream will fix it, and you're done. That's pretty much all I thought, and never really thought too much more about it, because that's how I got through life. It never impacted me massively at all. It was just a bit of a rash, and yeah, that was it. It wasn't until I had kids and that's when everything changed for me in terms of the severity of how bad it can get and how much it can impact your life.
Yeah. So how did it impact your life?
Oh, massively. I get emotional about it now. So yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to touch on it, but yeah, that's okay.
I know, I'll try and get through it, but probably more the stress on your family. My kids have only ever known their mum to have bad skin. The restriction on activities that you can do with your family or your kids, and that's probably more of your own mind as well. Like to take your kids, like I take my kids to swimming lessons, and up till 3 years old you have to get in the pool with them. I was never able to do that. So thankfully for my family, they could do that. Sorry, I'll grab myself a tissue. I haven't worked for about 18 months. So, I've got a young family, granted, but, you also want to get out and work and have something for yourself as well. So I felt like I haven't been able to do that for about 18 months. I pretty much don't have a social life. I've withdrawn from my friends and most social outings. What else? I tried to look at for photos of myself, and I realised I have not been in many photos at all, especially with my kids, for about 18 months as well. So, you don't like people coming near you or wanting to give you a hug. What else? Yeah, there's lots of things, so many things. Yeah, it got so bad, probably at my worst, I struggled to give my kids a hug and change their nappies because I was in that much pain. So yeah. So there's it can affect your life massively. So
Yeah. Oh, I
sorry.
want to give you a big hug, Leanne. Thank you for sharing that. I know that it's
No,
hard to
that's
bring
all
up.
right.
Yeah, these times. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I always say, it's like people just see the rashes and itchy skin, and they don't realize that it's your confidence, your life, your relationship with your kids, your friends, your family. It's
Yeah.
just, it affects everything.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. So, and like the one thing is that, like, when, like, from the very beginning, when Leanne and I first started working together, she was just had so much determination and positivity. And even though at the beginning, when we were talking about, when we started the program and started talking about the topical steroid withdrawal, which there's not at the beginning, you just kind of have to ride it through, but you still stayed so positive. You had your little board
Yeah.
up and all your little reminders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Out of
still on my
all of
cupboard
it,
door. Yeah.
yeah. Out of all of it, I just think like the most inspirational part of it was that you just had such a hard road and it affected so many different aspects of your life, but you still stayed so positive and had such a positive mindset. So I thought that was, definitely
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
this point for sure.
Oh yeah. Like, I still am not completely healed or anything like that, but compared to where I was and what I can do now, it's huge.
Yeah.
I think COVID worked in my favor as detrimental it's been to the world.
Yeah.
Being able to stay home and just focus on cooking and being with my kids and that sort of stuff, and not having to run them around here, there, and everywhere. It sort of gave me the time to breathe and to be able to implement some new ways of doing things. So and that's mostly been around food and cooking. Yeah.
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 And and you get to be a little bit selfish and focus on yourself, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Even though I had young kids, I was driving them around here, there, and everywhere. I think we still only had one day at home a week. So it was still pretty busy.
Yeah. And so what has been, in terms of like going through the program and this whole journey, so like with eczema, it's not just 12 weeks, it's not just however many weeks, it's lifestyle changes, and it's a long game, especially when you're coming off the withdrawal. So what has your experience been like on this journey so far?
Within the program,
Yeah.
sorry.
And just
Yeah.
the healing journey in general.
Yeah. It's been a massive change. I think the difference for me with this program, and the reason why it appealed to me a little bit more, is the naturopaths and nutritionists I'd seen in the past, and it's probably because I'm getting more educated now too, but they would give you a handout of foods to try and foods not to avoid, and a few supplements to help you, and then you wouldn't see them for 2 months. And then you catch up with them again. How'd you go with the program? Well, it kind of, you just waver off it and didn't focus on it because you didn't see any results. Or back then, when I was so unwell and had so many other things to think about, I didn't have any clarity. I just couldn't even figure out what to cook. And would just stick with some basic ingredients and really not move from them. So they're probably the challenges I've had seeing practitioners in the past, is that, there's a long period between visits. They just give you a handout and expect to go do it. Whereas this program, where my weaknesses were, it was already done. So it was the meal plans, it's the weekly catch-ups, it's that support you get every week. It's being able to know that I can message you anytime and be able to offload whatever's happening. I think I sent you that video at the very start of me in absolute
have you been
pieces.
keeping up with your diaries?
I haven't taken any videos as such, but I've been obviously taking my photos and doing my food and symptom diary. But that video I took when I was a bit broken that day, I just wanted to take it to remind myself of where I'm at. So where was I've sort of lost my train of thought already. So with this program, just being able to have a look what I need to try, and the shopping list there, figure out, I just have to go shopping, grab the ingredients and do a couple of cook-ups a week. you know, having smoothies, and yeah, it was just so easy. It took all of that stress of trying to figure out what to eat away. Yeah, and you still have to put in the work and do the cooking. Yeah,
you're doing all the hard work.
yeah, yeah, like you still have to put in that effort, but it's just of what to do and what to cook was all solved for me. So I think I sent you, you know, we sent weekly pictures in the first few weeks, and I know I didn't feel that great still within those first few weeks, but you could see the changes, because I was probably more basing it on how I felt within my skin, whereas you could see the changes happening. And yeah, that was encouraging to know, because I still didn't feel great in my skin. Whereas now, yeah, I'm not, you know, I've still got a bit of healing and work to do, but I look completely different. When you put that photo up of where I started, on the Facebook page, I was just in shock. Yeah. I thought, I can't even believe I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that obviously when you look in the mirror every single day, you don't realize the progress. Yeah. And the thing is that as well, like, because it goes through that cycle a lot of the times where it's red and then it's dry and flaky, and especially with you, because you would shed literally so many layers every single day. That's your reality, right? That's all that you don't see. You don't see what's actually happening. And also just having the knowledge that, like, it's about waiting for the redness to go down. Once the redness will go down, then you start shedding. Because otherwise, like, what happens a lot of times where I see people, and it might have happened with you as well, is that you don't think something's working because you're not feeling like you're getting the progress, when you do need to commit to a period of time to be able to see that. And then that's where people start yo-yoing from one thing to another.
Yeah. So for me, it's that continuity of being able to catch up every week, and you kind of just, if I have wavered, you set me back on the path, and on the goals.
Yeah.
Even if I don't see it myself.
Yeah. And just being able to workshop it. And fit it into your own life too.
Yeah.
And one of the added benefits is that you're getting your kids to eat this too.
Yeah, they are getting involved and having some of my meals. So they usually love their veg and their meat, and that's pretty much about it. But we are implementing some more some more in there as well. Yeah.
And so throughout the journey, how has this impacted your day-to-day life? How has it changed?
It's changed in the fact that I've been able to go and exercise and get a sweat without worrying too much. Like the last 3 weeks, I've been doing just one workout a week with because of COVID, we're only allowed to do outdoor training at the moment. So with a personal trainer, and I've been able to get a sweat up and not feel like I have to tear my skin apart and be worried about sweating. Like, I can go sweat and my skin's still not perfect. You know, if I, damp myself with a towel, I might get a little bit of skin off. But other than that, it's so much better. I can sweat without having that fear of wanting to rip my body apart.
And feeling like you're allergic to your sweat.
So, and I can go down the street, like when COVID hit, and you could go, like, I'd go down the street with a mask on, and I'd have my hat, my long sleeves and everything, so I could cover up. But if I go down the street, we still have to wear our masks, but I don't feel like I have to hide as much. At the start, I'd go down the street and I'd have crustaceans on my face, and my hands would be bright red on the trolley, and when you're down doing the shopping or something like that. Whereas, now I'm more confident. You just feel better in your skin. Like, there's nothing worse than your skin feeling red, tight, burning. Just feel better in my skin.
It's about feeling comfortable and confident.
And I know I'm not there yet. I think from one of the exercise workouts, I come back and I thought, oh, geez, that muscle's a bit sore. I put a bit of magnesium balm on it and it stung. So,
Yeah.
I know I won't be doing that for a little while yet. But yeah, at least I can still do those basic things. Yeah, yeah. My
Yeah.
children can come up and jump on me and hug me now without it hurting. You know, like that's a massive
That's
thing. Like,
priceless. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I remember you saying you would go to the shops and you would have your mask on and you would have to, and you had under your hat and you're just like, well, thank God it's
Yeah,
COVID. Yeah. I
yeah,
remember. And
yeah,
we're
yeah,
literally like, yeah, like
yeah.
we always like shed like a bunch of skin when we're on the phone. So you come a long
Oh,
way, such a long way. And
yeah,
it's a good, like your mindset with all of it as well is that it's a long game, and like you came into it
yeah,
knowing
yeah,
that and realizing it's not going to be like an overnight like miracle like out of the box detox, and so it is a journey, so you have like realistic
oh, massively. Yeah,
expectations, yeah, which is good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea I would get to this point so fast. I was nearly expecting to get through the 12 weeks and
Yeah.
still be really red, and for it to not have calmed down just yet. So I think I'm
Mhm.
in week 8 now,
Mhm.
maybe approaching week 9. So yeah, I'm stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just
Like your progress surprised me as well. Can like it's just,
yeah,
yeah, and even in that photo, you can't really tell how like red you were, and also because you
mm,
have the different stages of it as well when you wake up, and
yeah,
then the redness and the dryness. So yeah, the
yeah,
photos
yeah.
don't do justice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the flaking was, yeah, it was insane. Like I would literally just brush my arm and I'd have skin everywhere. Like it was insane. Yeah,
Mhm.
I still vacuum my bed every day, vacuum around the house every day, vacuum my ensuite every day. But there's hardly any skin. Like everywhere I've been throughout the house, I'm still vacuuming it. I think that's more out of habit now rather than necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Well, I'm so proud of you, Leanne. And yeah, you've like, it's just inspirational, just your mindset. And it was a struggle. And, you know, we didn't
Mm,
even realize that this was happening when we first spoke. So having that
no.
realization that what you're going through is an emotional roller coaster as it is.
Mm,
And then also, you know, trying to juggle your kids while they're at home, doing all of this. So yeah, you've done really, really well. Plus you had lots happening in your life and your external world too. So yeah, I'm
yeah.
really
Yeah.
proud of you and I'm really happy
Yeah.
for you. Yeah. And
Thank
just
you.
like
Thank you
your
for your help
vibrancy as
so
well.
far.
Yeah, has
Yeah.
changed, like your vitality. So cool to see.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I nearly felt like this program was my last straw to try and find myself help. Like you
Mhm.
probably didn't know that, but I said to my partner, I said, maybe this is the last straw of what I can try and do to try and heal. And maybe that's why I was a little bit more determined as well, because I didn't know where else to turn after this program. Like
Mhm.
if I wasn't successful in, you know, trying to heal. Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, because
yeah.
I remember you saying at the beginning, I'm pretty sure it was you, about how the doctor wanted you to trial a drug. Was that you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my last dermatologist I went and seen, who put me on steroids again for my facial eczema and you know, my chest and that sort of thing. I went back to her and she said, well, there's not much more I can do for you. Just moisturize and you'll hear from the clinical trial and, you know, people and they'll get in touch with you. So I wasn't kind of comfortable with jumping on a clinical trial straight away, especially when you don't even know what drug it, you know, they said it was one of 2 drugs. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't comfortable with that. And that's, you know, I've, you know, I can still go back to that if I needed to, but that's why I wanted to try something else first. And this
Mhm.
is what I chose to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
glad. I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so
Mm.
much, Leanne, for sharing your story. I know that it's hard to kind of go back and go through all the emotions, but it's relevant for
Mm.
everybody because everybody who's
Yeah,
had
yeah,
trauma has experienced that to everybody's different levels of it. But
yeah.
definitely such an inspiration, and you know, still on your journey, but you've just been making such
Hmm.
great progress. So, yeah, thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
All right. So, and now, and if anybody has any questions or anything like for Leanne or me, you can just pop it into the comments. And yeah, we'll speak to you soon. Thanks again, Leanne.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.